Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and the Giants. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host Jam. Today we talk about F1, the movie starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris and of course Javier Bardem. Abby used us to ask you, of all people, if you were excited for this movie since you got me into F1. What Drive to Survive, and we both never looked back because F1 is a fucking fun sport to watch.
It is.
But what were your thoughts when they announced an F1 movie by the guy who made Top Gun Maverick?
I was fucking excited because I love Top Gun Maverick. Like, I watched it on IMAX. I watched it in Director's Club, and that shit was sick.
Yeah.
And, like, every bit of it was great because, like, it was straight up the actors being in the seat.
Yeah.
And doing the stunts themselves and learning how to pilot the plane. And they said that, like, oh, they're going to do F1. I know a couple of actors who have driven an F1 car. Like, first Tom Cruise. He has driven one.
Yeah.
And now it's Brad Pitt. And it's just nice to see, like it's not, it's not CGI. It's not like the Need for Speed movie where you clearly see they're they're in control.
Yeah.
You see here Brad Pitt's like you see him struggling, like there's a turn, which is what like you being in an actual race car feels like. You don't look cool.
Yeah.
You're trying to analyze every little corner, make sure you don't fucking die.
Yeah.
Which I love that this director. What was the name of the director again?
Joseph Kosinski.
Did an amazing job showing it, and I love it that they were like, "No, you guys are driving."
Right.
There's not going to be a CGI thing. It's going to be full on you. Well, I mean, I know that they CGI'd their car in some scenes where they replaced the Alpine car.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's mostly realistic. It's mostly them being in the seat itself. So I was very excited to see this movie.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can't hang with Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise if you're not committed to doing the roles, and you're like, okay.
I don't know what's up with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. I like Tom Cruise is a little questionable, but like, I like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only kind of decent person from the two.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, we see scenes where he's just like in a nice bath. He's doing pull-ups. I was like, man, I want to be like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets out of bed. You see his abs and tattoos. I was like, wow, you're in great shape. He's 61.
People only dream about that,
This guy is 61. I was like, God, give us a chance.
Right? And if this movie is successful, I think the director talked about making a crossover between F1 and the Days of Thunder movie with Tom Cruise, so we get Cruise and Brad Pitt. And this movie is successful. It already made $144 million on opening weekend. I'm like, if that's not successful, I don't know what the fuck is successful. But yeah, we follow Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, who's this washout driver who was an F1 driver back in the 90s, along with Schumacher and Senna. I like how they prop Sonny into history where obviously he doesn't exist. But they're like, if he's going to be in the 90s, if we're going to de-age Brad Pitt to his Fight Club days, he might as well be with Senna and Schumacher.
Yeah, he was racing up against those greats with like Prost and everything.
Yeah,
I love that. I really do. And it does tie into his backstory a little bit, but of course we find that out later in the movie.
Yeah,
I love the whole Le Mans scene. Not Le Mans, sorry, 24 Hours of Daytona scene.
Yeah,
where you kind of get a hint of his character already.
Yeah,
I love it that it's very reminiscent to Ford versus Ferrari, where like he lives in a trailer. He's kind of like a has-been.
Yeah,
but he still races.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he races a tad bit dirty, which I like to see. I love it that they're like, it's still racing, but you can fuck with somebody if you think hard enough.
Yeah.
where he makes a guy like brake a little too late
Yeah.
and kind of forget that there's a turn coming up.
Yeah. And like this guy is like knows how to handle business. Like when that guy is like, "You almost made me crash," and you see Sonny is about to
Him like holding a wrench. I was like, dang.
right, and that is his one and done in NASCAR, and he moves on with other stuff. And sorry, what's Daytona again?
24 hours.
24. Sorry, 24 hours, and he's like, "Yeah, that's my only one," and then he leaves, and then he's picked up. He's met by Ruben, played by Javier Bardem, who begs him to be like, "Come on, take a chance with Apex. We have a young driver in Joshua Pierce, but he needs a bit more discipline, and an older guy like you will be a great balance."
I love it that we were talking about like Brad Pitt's age. I don't know how old he is in this movie.
Yeah,
Like how old is like Sonny Hayes supposed to be?
yeah,
If they're really sticking to how old Brad Pitt is,
yeah.
he is much older than Fernando Alonso.
Right?
And Fernando Alonso is supposed to be the oldest like guy in the grid.
Yeah.
He's like 40. He's in his mid 40s already.
Yeah. I do love the testing scene when Sonny Hayes has to beat Joshua's score, and you're just like, I don't know how much experience he still has, because he does skip a few beats, and you're like, how is this movie gonna play out? But he does beat the score in the end.
Yeah, with that last corner, he really made up for that last corner, which is the corner that
Yeah.
Joshua Pierce keeps fucking up on.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, there is a chance. He does bend the car though.
Yeah. Like, I do love the first race they have together. Josh versus young hot shot, and Sonny Hayes is this veteran, and they go neck and neck with each other, and they wreck both of their cars. And Ruben's is like, "What the fuck, man? Bring you in to I didn't bring you in to destroy both of my cars. Why, dude?"
It's like millions of dollars each.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, I love it that. I also love like Brad Pitt's character here. Like, Sonny Hayes is very charismatic.
Yeah.
Even with like the racing engineer, where they're like, hey, like they start betting that he might actually crash the car on his first lap.
Yeah.
And like when he crashed it, he was like, "Oh, you should have taken that bet."
Right. And like him and Damson Edges have amazing chemistry together. Like, I think they're one of my favorite duos of this year. Aside from like, can't think of any other duos. Maybe Michael B. Jordan as himself, playing with himself. You're like, all right.
They were okay in my opinion. Like, it was passable. It wasn't the greatest, but they were good for me. Like if we were to compare it to like Ford versus Ferrari with Ken Miles and like
Carol
Shelby,
yeah.
that is a way Carol Shelby. Sorry, Thomas Shelby.
It's like Peaky Blinders. I don't remember Kelly Murphy there.
That is a way better duo in my opinion. But here they did a great job. Like, both of them are butting heads. One still has to learn. The other one is too old to learn.
Yeah.
Which I like that dynamic where, like, clearly Sonny Hayes is out of his, like he's not used to this kind of like new era of racing where it's a lot of publicity. It's a lot of like press and like you gotta have a good image. Where Joshua Pierce knows that very well. So even though he lost, he crashed, he has to put a smile on.
Yeah, I love the scene where he's like, why are you smiling? We lost. There's 20 other guys who want to beat us, who underestimate us, who think we're has-beens. And Josh is just like, this is just part of the game, man. Leave me alone. What do you want from me?
Which is understandable in my opinion because that's what F1 is now.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like back in the 90s where they're very like loose with what they have. They would smoke on the side.
Yeah.
They don't care about their image because they're race car drivers.
Yeah.
What else can you say about them?
Exactly. Though for a bit of this movie when Sonny Hayes was sabotaging himself to make Joshua go forward, I was kind of like, what the fuck is this movie about again? I thought it was going to be Brad Pitt.
That was so smart though. I love that shit. I was like, I didn't know you could play this game. For sure, there's going to be penalties
Yeah.
upon penalties, and like a front wing itself, it costs like an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know you could play it dirty like that, where Plan C is him wrecking his car and something to make a yellow flag come up, so that Joshua can like catch up to the grid.
Yeah.
I was just like, that is so smart. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, even for Gunter, it's just like, what the fuck? And you're like, I'm sorry.
Oh, he's still there. Yeah, I was a little bit like weirded out with like the time this came out, because Alfa Romeo is still there.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, okay. Bottas is still there. Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I got to watch this with a packed theater full of F1 fans, and like every cameo they were like, oh fuck, it's fucking Carlos Sainz. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking cool.
Before he was in Williams, like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that it is the strategy they come up with to make Joshua go forward. It's Hayes taking a bump so that he can become the champion, even though Joshua's kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? And he still doesn't trust him, especially in that race in the rain when he's telling Joshua to like calm down and don't do it.
Like after the corner, that's when you take him.
Yeah.
Like, but nah. Of course, it's Max Verstappen, for God's sake.
Right.
But yeah, if he just took his advice, he would have not crashed into the side. By the way, I was watching it with my girlfriend. When that crash happened, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that was so intense. I was like I know Gran Turismo kind of did the same thing, and that was a real crash. But this one, I was just like, whoa,
right?
He's dead.
Yeah. I was like,
is Joshua Pierce dead?
Yeah.
That's why Brad Pitt has come in.
Exactly. I was like, I guess Sonny Hayes is the main character now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a shame. I like Damson Idris in this movie.
Yeah.
But no, it's not that. He's just injured and out of the season. And you see Sonny Hayes can dominate a racetrack. You're like, so you can do it. All right, cool.
Yeah. I get that. Like, he needed like a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
He got a hang of it. He got like his team, you know.
Yeah.
I do like his love interest. I like the chemistry that they have.
Yeah, him
sure,
and
it's not the point. It's not Romeo and Juliet, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, but it's like enough to be like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, have a little side like love interest. It's kind of like with Tom Cruise and
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly in Top Gun.
Yeah. I do love, like, later on, I love the scene when Javier Bardem just comes to the apartment or the hotel and she's just like, what? I'm professional. I don't do this shit. Yeah, he's
on the balcony.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, if I was any girl and Brad Pitt flirted with me, I'm just like, take me.
Yeah,
You're 61 and look like you're in your 30s. Take me.
Yeah, Ruben was like, I understand, but I need to talk to him. You're like, all right, he's cool. I love the when Joshua comes back, they have another accident, and Sonny's just like, if you do that again, I'll fucking kill you. You're like,
that was an intense scene too. That like he just pushes him to the wall. I was like, whoa!
Right?
I don't know if you could do that.
Right? I was like, it really, like, if you've seen Drive to Survive, you're like, I've seen those scenes in real life. Jesus.
By the way, speaking of Drive to Survive, I love it that they poke fun of it.
Yeah.
Because like the guy who's a promoter of the team.
Oh yeah, one of those shareholders.
Well, the shareholders was just like, I knew nothing about the sport, but I watch enough Drive to Survive. Like that was the joke, is that the dude absolutely knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
He just watched Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
And I was like, which is the running joke with F1 fans, like, and you could clearly see he's like a sleazeball.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He's trying to fuck over poor Ruben. He does, because he gets their new upgrade like disqualified, and they're like, what the fuck do we do now? We can't do that.
Yeah, he doctored doctored
documents,
photos about like, yeah, the schematics on
Yeah.
like the part.
I do fucking love the scene when Sonny Hayes doesn't have his card and he just drives angry. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit, he's gonna kill
I
somebody.
didn't get the whole card thing at first. I was like, well, what's the point of this?
Yeah,
You know, like he just flips it, doesn't look at it, and he even mentioned, it was like, you don't look at your card.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, he drives in Las Vegas. He crashes it. I love it that they took out the part. I don't know if you were watching, like Instagram Reels, but people would take videos of them filming because they would use the actual crowd in the race
yeah.
as the bystanders, and people would take videos of them filming, and it was the crash of Sunny Hayes,
Yeah.
and he comes out of the car, and he's supposed to like, plop down. You know, he's supposed to land, and like, he fell. But when you see that scene through the person's like cell phone, you're like, that was kind of cheesy, and the directors were like, we're taking that out. We're not putting that into the movie.
But yeah, there's a moment when Ruben's like, "You're too badly damaged. If you get into another crash, it will kill you. So I can't have you be in the seat anymore."
Yeah, like he didn't know that, like, oh, Sunny Hayes was actually dead.
Yeah,
And back in the 90s,
yeah.
where when he crashed. By the way, when you see him crash and like his body is like maybe 50 feet away from the car,
Yeah.
you see his leg just like. That's when we knew it was fucked up. We're like, everybody in the theater was like, "Whoa!"
Right? You're like, how are you not dead? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But just to be like, yeah, it was a bad accident. You see hit the accident of the 90s. You're like, yeah, you shouldn't be alive. I agree with Ruben. I wouldn't put you in the seat if I knew the extension of your injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's when he finds out that the shareholder fucked Ruben over, and he goes back to, what was it, Abu Dhabi as the last race.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Yeah, like watching them beat the final bosses of Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton is so fucking badass. There's a scene when I'm sure they told Max to just take it easy on Brad Pitt, but he's still a fucking beast.
Yeah.
There's also a fucking moment when Lewis Hamilton and Joshua Pierce lock eyes, and I'm like, oh, Lewis ain't playing. I know he produced this movie, but he's fucking serious about this race.
I love it that like everybody in the seat in the theater like adjusted themselves and were like at the edge of their seat. You're like
Yeah,
watching the race between Joshua Pierce and Lewis Hamilton,
yeah.
like going at it. We're all like, is he gonna win? And they
Right.
both like crashed off, and everybody's like, oh my god! So it's up to Brad Pitt.
Right? I love that scene because everybody in my theater too was like, is he gonna beat Lewis Hamilton? There ain't no way. Oh, they crashed. Oh, thank God. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I love every bit of that. The racing is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Alone, it's 10 out of 10. Like, just like the Top Gun Maverick jet scenes. These scenes here are like, I don't... Again, you can't hang with Brad Pitt, apparently, if you're not driving an actual F1 car and you're part of the crew. You're like, okay, guess I'm not cool enough. This man's 61. What the fuck am I doing when I'm 61, you know?
Like, but yeah, there were some parts here that I were kind of a little bit iffy on. I know we're already at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
I was a little bit iffy on the dialogue from time to time. It is kind of cheesy and very commercially.
Yeah, it's very cliche sports movie. You're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like when Joshua Pierce kind of took Sunny Hayes' advice, where it's like, oh, like the whole press thing, the social media thing,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's just noise. And like, you know, like instead of doing that, just train.
Yeah.
Like get in the car. But Joshua Pierce has that moment of realization that like, yeah, that's how I should have my mindset be, is just focusing on the race, not on my appearance.
Yeah.
But he kind of delivers the line a little beat for beat, instead of like being the scene of like, you know what? Hold the press. I'm gonna get in the seat and practice. It could have just been like that, and it was like, oh, he took Brad Pitt's advice.
Yeah,
We could have been like that. No, they kind of had to shove it in our faces. That thing. He said the words that Brad Pitt said, line for line. I was just like, that's a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
And Brad, yeah, sorry, go on.
Also, Sonny Hayes on why he does F1. I was like, yeah, sure.
Does it sound a little too familiar?
Yeah.
Does it sound a little too Carol Shelby?
Yep. I was like, I just saw Ford vs Ferrari. Thank you for reiterating this, man.
Yeah. I was kind of like, okay. Everything else besides those scenes, sometimes there are some cheesy lines here and there.
Yeah.
I could look past it. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, those kind of docked a little bit of points because I was like, I wish the writing was a bit better.
Yeah. I was like,
Because we have movies like Ford versus Ferrari where the dialogue is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Also, I do appreciate the fact that all of the cameos are not jarring. Like, it feels natural. Like, when they're lining up the first time with Sergio Perez and, like, Max Verstappen, I was like, yeah, I feel like they belong. And these cameos are not, like, jarring. They feel natural.
Yeah, I'm just happy they didn't ask any of the race car drivers to act.
Yeah, right.
Except for Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
He's the only guy who interacted.
Yeah.
With
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like physically, where he like came up to him and like patted him on the shoulder. I was like, because I remember seeing that interview, like live.
Yeah.
And I was like, did Fernando Alonso do that just to be a diva?
Right.
Or was that part of the script? I don't know.
I will never know now. I'm sure we'll find out like months later. But I do love the cameos from the managers too, like Zach and like even Christian and fucking
Zach Brown,
Toto.
Warner, and yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Toto also gets like a little bit like he goes up to Joshua Pierce and is like, "Hey, if you're interested, we would like for you to be part of our team."
Yeah, I love how the director's like, say the thing you say to every driver that you see find promising.
Try to steal a driver again.
Yeah, dude, like you do you, man. For a while, I was like, where the fuck is Toto? Isn't he in? Oh, there he is. That makes sense. Because when there's Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes, I'm like, then where's his manager?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good time watching this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
By the way, the whole card scene made sense now. I love it that they showed it at the end.
Yeah.
Where he finally looks at the card that he had in his pocket. And that was the entire thing. He would never look at his card until he won a race.
Yeah.
And I love it that it's not this unrealistic thing where they won the world championship. They just won one race out of the entire season.
Yeah.
But that's kind of crazy if you think about it. That's a great feat. If you're like a racing team that's like below the points. You're like end of the pack kind of team, kind of like Haas or Williams.
And suddenly you win one.
Like you're like going up, and then by the last race you win your first race.
Yeah,
that's fucking great. I would love to have seen that IRL.
Yeah.
I think they did somewhat, kind of with like AlphaTauri, with Pierre Gasly.
Oh, I thought you were about to say like they did do it in IRL because Apex has an actual Twitter account that announced the scores, and you're like, you're not even part of the grid. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, yeah, they have like a whole social media thing where they're like they show points and stats, and like where Sunny Hayes and Joshua Pierce are at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ain't no way. Like they would even show like, oh, Joshua Pierce is out, reserve driver. I was like,
it's like for who? Like he doesn't exist. What the fuck are you talking about? But again, that's the kind of promotion. I'm like, even though it's a bit annoying, I'm like, that is 10 out of 10 as well. Cause
I didn't find it annoying. I found it funny and like I was kind of engaged.
Yeah. By the end, I was like, and when they stopped, I was like, oh man, I guess production is done. Damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you rate F1 the movie?
I'd rate F1 the movie a solid 8 out of 10. It is a really good movie if you are an F1 fan. If you're a racing fan, but like there are some scenes here that are a little off.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lines were delivered a little too cheesy. You could again, as I said a while ago, some of the things here were very commercial.
Yeah.
They didn't really tackle really deep things that F1 drivers have to go through.
Yeah.
Like they would show like a little small problem, and then like it'll pass by. Joshua Pierce and Brad Pitt, great chemistry from time to time. Like when they would interact with each other, I'm like, I am engaged. But would I say they're a good team? Kind of like what Kyle Shelby and Ken Miles gave us in Ford versus Ferrari. Not really, because they didn't really build up their relationship throughout the races. They kind of just like sat down, found out that they both had a dad that died at the same fucking age, and then they just pursued racing. And I was like, oh, okay, that's where they kind of have the equal ground. From there, they're like, all right, cool, your chemistry's done. I'm like, okay. The only thing that you kind of see, well, not the only thing, but like one of the things you see is that Joshua Pierce is okay with Sonny Hayes getting his first one.
Yeah.
You know, like he lets Sonny take it.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing that indicates that he has respect for him.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's just a little meh when it came to like character development. But other than that, Joshua Pierce as a character in himself, really great. Brad Pitt's character, Sonny Hayes, fucking love that guy. Like I love it that he's very old rock and roll, very Johnny Depp looking.
Yeah,
Bohemian. Love it that he like bends the rules to his own advantage, which shows that he's more like race smart than he is like how younger drivers are, where they're very raw talent.
Yeah, yeah.
And Javier Bardem was a great supporting character. I love it that like he does drop F1 and goes to Baja. And I'm like, okay,
Right?
do you, man.
Exactly. It's consistent with his character. Now that you mentioned they're not great chemistry, I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that is true. They only sat down once, and I was like, you have a dad that died at 13, and then you started racing? Me too. And now we're cool. You're like, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were at each other's neck last week. But yeah, dialogue was a bit cheesy, especially Sonny's dialogue of like why I do F1. I was like, I could have sworn I saw this. I heard this last night in Ford versus Ferrari. It's fucking deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sonny's a great character. Joshua's a great character. I hope this launches Damson Edge's career to new heights, because I don't know if you heard of the show Snowfall, but it's a pretty good show, and it's kind of like Breaking Bad. It's like goes into drug dealing and like the world of LA. I think it's LA. But yeah, he's great in that show, and I hope he gets more movies. Javier Bardem is always great. And it's also great to see Carrie Condon do more stuff outside of Better Call Saul. And yeah, the driving scenes alone. Yeah, she's like Mike's
daughter, right?
Yeah. She's also in the Colin Farrell movie, The Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah.
Where she broke.
For Keegan's heart, Barry Keegan's heart.
Yeah, Barry Keegan's heart. Well, that's what you get for breaking Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh fuck! I forgot he was with her.
I'm like, why would you throw that away?
Anyway, that's not TMZ. But yeah, going back to this movie, racing scenes alone, 10 out of 10. The fucking score, the fact that Hans Zimmer again makes another masterpiece.
The score is so fucking good. I love it that, I was like, this is very new for Hans Zimmer to do. It's very techno-y, but still has that score. And I'm just like, I am so into this. This is so good. And then it gets ruined with Ed Sheeran's fucking song.
You're like,
I hated that song so fucking much.
You're like, you couldn't send us off with Hans Zimmer. You did that for Rush, his first F1 score. Why could you do this for this? Right?
I was like, oh, come on. Like, that's why I was saying, like, it's very commercial.
Yeah, it's a bit too commercialized. Like,
yeah. I was about to say, I was talking to my girlfriend about this because she's a fan of Cars.
Yeah.
Like the Disney movie Cars. Yeah, she loves that shit. It's just that, like, I was like, why does the ending song sound like a Cars movie ending? And then I had to stop myself midway because I was like, wait a minute, Cars has a way more banger soundtrack compared to that shit.
Yeah, And they like if you want a more dramatic F1 movie, Rush is the way to go.
Rush is a really fucking good F1 movie.
Yeah, but if you want to
Like,
you're saying?
No, and like has like that whole serious dialogue.
Yeah,
If you want more like better dialogue,
yeah,
Rush is the way to go.
yeah. Especially with Niki Lauda's like, I'm glad I have an enemy, because that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But F1 the movie is a great summer blockbuster. It's like it's the definition of like why we watch movies like at this time of the year to just have fun.
Yeah.
So you get both from Hans Zimmer. Like if you want a very nuanced score, it's Rush. If you want a very like techno pop score, it's F1 the movie. And like
Yeah.
if you like both, you do you. If you like one or the other, again, you do you. No one's blaming you either way. But yeah,
Yeah.
about 8 out of 10. It's the definition of like, again, escapism. Or like that's why I like watch movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, do you see this movie getting a sequel?
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
You know, like I hope they learn from their lessons from the first one and just like make it better.
Yeah,
But other than that, yeah, I would love to see this have like a sequel.
yeah,
Or like maybe another racing movie. Like if this director wants to do another racing movie, I would love to see him like just tackle maybe Group B racing, like rally racing, or just rally in general.
yeah.
I would love to see that, or Dakar. I would love to see a movie about Dakar. But one movie I would love to see be made is the Isle of Man TT, because it's sounds funny, but it is the most deadliest racing like circuit that still is ongoing.
Oh,
It is predicted that every year 3 people die in it,
oh,
because
fun.
it's just full on country road with you in a motorcycle. So narrow roads, you in a motorcycle, split like second decisions, and sometimes you go into somebody's like living room.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Look it up. Look it up. Isle of Man. It is the craziest fucking racing I've seen, and I would love to have seen a movie made about that.
Alright. But yeah, I was about to say, the director has another project, which is Top Gun 3. So hopefully he gets... And that's Maverick's last movie, so I'm like, I hope he gets a great send-off.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't die in the movie, even though it is a send-off, you know?
Just no cheesy ending song, please.
Oh, please. Again, if you have to choose between popular singer 1 or Hans Zimmer, please go Hans Zimmer, man.
Please go on, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, if we want to see more of us here on this platform, please leave a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see your best and funniest moments. Spotify to hear us on the go. Sorry, my voice was going for some reason. Anyway, I am Zoda's Voices on TikTok and Answell on Letterboxd. Where can they find you?
You can find me at JobJam_on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.